Okay, folks, good day. Um, this is a series of videos on reproductive system. Um, I probably will break up this PowerPoint into two, so it's pretty long, so we'll kind of operate from that. So you will have part one, part two, to kind of explain all this concept. Without further ado, I get into it, okay? So, okay. So, little trivia question. What is the slang term of penis? And for some reason, and this is when we talk about when we talk about reproductive, I just want to kind of bring these up just to make sure you be aware of it. A lot of time we even tell our kids not to say the word penis because it's gross or something. Like you technically speaking, penis is just like another part of your body. It's actually just another organ. Just like your nose, your ear. We wouldn't come up, another term for the ear, another term for your finger, your knees, your toes. Um, but think about this. A lot of people do. I mean, feel like that they can't even say the word penis or vagina. So they're trying to come up with more terms just to describe the penis itself. And a lot of terms actually end up being longer than the word penis itself. So think about that. Let's see how many you could come up with. Okay, you could pause this video to actually go through that. Here we go. So this is some of the terms that we come up with. Wee wee, weenie, pee pee, wiener. So I mean, you could see those are more polite terms, but there's other terms as well. And I didn't I include some, but that more provocative term I'm not gonna really put in here. So, um, but you could see like magic wand, joystick, jackhammer. So as you can see, we tend to quite even personalize, I would say, giving penis just an organ itself, a, a like a animated character. You actually make it come alive. It's just a muscle in your body, um, but yet we actually a muscle that have tons of blood vessels, and we just trying to animate it by just come up with all these terms. Captain Winky, as if penis could actually speak. Godzilla, I mean, they are rampaging everywhere. So it's kind of weird that how as a society, as a culture, it's not just happening here, but every culture actually has this, where we can't even say the word penis. We actually have to come up with different terms. To be fair, again, we'll do the same with vagina. Think of a term that you slang term for vagina. In the actuality, it's actually there's a lot more term for vagina than actually for penis. I wonder why. And I'm sure a lot of these actually created by men, so that's why we have way too many terms. Um, so again, I'm not putting any provocative type of term here, but these are just kind of interesting term actually I got from the internet, from Google. Axe wound to with JJ, Punani, so Poos, all kinds of terms here. So interesting. You could read these. None of these will be on your exam, so just don't worry. I mean, it's just kind of food for thoughts for you guys. Okay. Again, you guys could capture this page if you want to use some of these. But again, I don't recommend them. I don't recommend just say the word. I don't know, like mangina. Like what? Just say the word vagina. It's just an organ. And there's nothing wrong with that organ. Literally, it's just a term. So use it. Uh, so some of the choices, this is usually, if we do this in class, I would actually have you guys get up and then go to a different side of the class and see what your opinion would be. Ask yourself these questions and see which one you pick. You pick one on the left, on the one on the right. Okay. Forced douching contributes to vaginal health. So if you agree with that, you pick the left. If you don't, you agree to douching is detrimental to vaginal health, you pick the one on the right. Okay, the answer for this one is the one on the right. This is bad for you. For a lot of men actually do not know this, and a lot of men don't even know what douching actually is. Douching is when you put the water up in vaginal canal to clean it. A lot of times some women actually use different things like water with soap, or even vinegar. They use vinegar to go in and clean it. And technically speaking, you don't want to do that, because when you do that, you wipe out the bacteria, the good bacteria that's actually supposed to be in your vagina to help keep a good flora in your vagina. And it'd be more susceptible to, UTI or other things, infections as well, in your vaginal canal. Okay. Condom or no condom? Again, some of these are personal choice. It's up to you. This one, there's no right or wrong. It's just really, truly personal choice. And a lot of times we don't think about them. And a lot of times we don't even ask your partner if you actually in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, you have sex before a marriage, and you don't think about these things, condom versus no condom, and what the consequences of those might be. Okay. If this is true, we do have a female condom as well. Okay, female condom. So, and male condoms. So, and a lot of time we assume in some culture, it's actually assumed that you always need to use condom in some culture. If you come from not from here, other part of the world, actually it's almost like mandatory for you to use condom. So it depends on your relationship, on the person, which your preference might be. It's better to have a child at 18 than to wait until you're 40, or is it better to have a child at 40 than to have one at 18? So this is saying that if you agree having child when you're younger, it agree with you child when you're older, which one would you prefer? Again, it's truly up to your choice. And this is some of these questions you could, talk it out with your friends, your family. It's actually a good conversational starter. If you have a little party or family get together, something to talk about, something fun to talk about. Okay, but if you have a child when you're 18, or when you agree you actually wanting to have a child when you're younger, what's the pros and cons of that? And what's the pros and cons of having a child when you're actually older? Some might argue for financially, you become more prepared. Some might saying that you're biologically more prepared when you're younger. So up to you and up to your view. So you would rather raise a child alone than never raise a child, or would you rather never raise a child than raise a child alone? So whether you prefer being a single parent, or you do not want to be a single parent at all. Okay. I would rather be a childless than adopt. So you don't like adoption, so you rather don't have any kids at all. Or you want to rather adopt than being childless, so you cannot have kids. You would prefer to adopt. So what would be your preference? Home birth, birthing center, or hospital birth? Which one do you pick? Again, if you haven't watched my video for the conception and pregnancy, I want you to watch those. Conception and labor, watch that video, and you should have a better idea of come up with these answers. Natural birth versus C-section. Again, you watch that video, this will kind of tell you as well. Natural birth versus epidural. Again, watch that video, you will see that answer there. This is a video about the circumcision. You want to watch those. In fact, circumcision is if you watch that video, you will see that it is commonly done here in the US. But what I didn't actually talk about in that video, which is really interesting, is in some culture in Africa, they do circumcise women. As a passage of adulthood, like when you hit 14, 16 or 18, and you have to go into the doctor and they will cut off your clitoris. Literally, they'll cut off your clitoris without any numbing medication, just to show you a step up in getting into kind of like a women right, kind of like women passage kind of thing, where you become adulthood. And when most people see that and found that offensive or don't agree with that, consider it to be mutilation, genital mutilations. But interestingly, we consider that for women, if we would talk about cutting clitoris off or foreskin off of women, that's considered mutilation. But yet we do that to the little boy infants, and we don't consider it as mutilation. It's just kind of like, yeah, ironic, and not ironic, but double standard there. So watch that video. Okay, so let's get into it. You have the primary and secondary sex organ. You should know this. Okay, this is part of your first thing on your exam is this. You have the primary sex, which is the organ that produces gamete, which is your ovaries and your testes. So those are the primary sex organ. Secondary sex organ, other things that support it to that. So you like male will be penis, ducts, gland, everything else. Anything that has nothing to do with the egg. Okay, female, that's aside anything from outside of ovaries, like uterine tube, fallopian tube, uterine tube, uterus, vagina, fallopian, fembrae, all of those, cervix, all of those are secondary organs. We're going to talk about male first. Okay, function of reproductive system. Produce sperm, and that's what we are. We are a sperm producing machine. We do that starting from puberty all the way to the last day of our breath. We just continue to produce sperm. Okay, produce sex hormone. We do produce some sex hormone here. The other organ we talked about earlier that actually produces sex hormone is the adrenal gland. Your adrenal gland also produces some sex hormone there. Okay, so let's say you were to chop off your testes, doesn't mean you actually stop producing testosterone. You do still produce in a lower level, but you still produce it in the adrenal gland, your part of the adrenal. Okay, also it actually helps deliver the sperm as well, shooting out. Again, this is the 6-mile long tube that I was referring to the other video. So testes. You have the main one to remember is you have the seminous tubule, seminiferous tubules. This is where you sperm produce. Something to remember, really. If I ask you where does a sperm produce, you should say seminiferous tubules. Okay. And then the seminiferous tubules then drain. These are the little coil here, look like brain-like here. You could see these little brain-shaped thing, wiggling stuff. This is seminiferous tubules. So these will actually dump it into the retitestes. Okay, these are the tube that drain the sperm, and then the sperm will go into the satori, which is the nerve cells. And then spermatogenic cells, those satori nerve cells, and then go into resting in epididymis. Okay, on the outside, okay, your testes actually hang outside of the body because you want to keep it cooler, about 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, Celsius. So quite significant to be cooler. Sperm would die with higher heat, with your body heat. If your body heat is 37 degrees Celsius, that's your body heat. The sperm actually does not last that long. So sperm actually once it leave the sperm leave the testes, the clock is ticking. They actually the longer they stay inside the vagina in the women uterus, the sooner they will die because of the heat as well as other things that I explained in the conception video. The muscle, you have spermatic cord. Spermatic cord is right here. It actually wraps around. Just think of this like a sheet that kind of wraps all of everything inside. You have the blood vessel, you have the cord, you have everything else inside here. So just think of like a casing. casing that's actually inside a box. You have the scrotum area here. This is the skin portion that actually wrapped on the outside. That's the box. And you have the inside casing that wrap around the product itself. So this is wrap around all the wire, all the product, just like the casing on your wire, your cord, any electrical cord. You have all these casing. So your spermatic cord, just like that, acts just like that, where it wraps those things inside. You have a couple of muscle. You have cream master muscle. Cream master, something you should know, is actually internal oblique, segment of internal oblique that will pull testes close up to your body. Your testes is pulling up and down all the time. Your testes actually feel like this, and it looks like this, where you you just kind of being pulled up and pulled down all the time. Just keep pulling up and pulling down. Okay, these muscle, it's actually around here, and just keep things kind of pulling up and pulling down. The cream master muscle obviously pull things up. Okay, pull things up. Your cream master muscle actually pull things up closer to your body, whereas your dartos muscle, it's your smooth muscle, kind of make it things a little bit, reducing that surface area. Venous plexus are referring to these veins like stuff, your veins that actually, and your arteries as well, that actually coming down, supplying blood to your testes. Okay, these will help with the heat. It's actually mechanism that help with the heat. So as the artery, as your artery comes down, it transfers the heat to the veins. Okay, this is how it works. Something you should know. You should circle this page. Okay, you should know this page as well as this page. You will see these terms on your exam. Okay, so as the artery comes down, it actually transfers that heat to the vein. Okay, as all of these come down, it transfers all of these heat to the vein. So you have fewer degrees, up to 2 degrees Celsius lower than your body because of this transfer of the heat. Okay. Next, you have the efferent duct. You have efferent duct next to retitestes. You have this efferent duct. Efferent, again, is for exit. E for exit. So you exiting this lovely mechanism of making sperm. You have seminiferous tubule making sperm. Retitestes, kind of passage, like a big lobby area, and then put it in the retitestes. Put it in efferent ducts. Efferent ducts then lead to epididymis. Epididymis, you should know this is the storage. You should definitely know this term. This is where the sperm actually mature and store. Okay, where sperm mature and store at this point. Okay, and when it's ready, you're going to shoot out this tube, this cannon tube called vas deferens. Vas deferens, also called ductus deferens. Same thing, ductus deferens or vas deferens. Same thing. So you see the word deferens? Think of it like defense. Defense, when you defend stuff, you shoot out that cannon. You're shooting out that sperm through that cannon. Okay, when you become in defense, you shoot those things out. Okay, ejaculatory duct, you will learn in the lab that there's different names of these ducts. As it goes up, it actually have different name as it goes through different parts. Okay, so ejaculatory, you have vas deferent. Vas deferent become ejaculatory duct, which is right here. This is ampulla. And then you have ejaculatory duct right here, and then mix it with the prostate gland, bulb. You become you go through another name, bulbourethra gland, and then you go through another name of urethra, and that comes out. Okay. Okay, so you have these three glands. Definitely you need to know these three glands for your lab. So you have bulbourethral gland, prostate gland, and also seminal vesicle gland. Seminal vesicle look kind of like alien-like, which I'll show you that picture later on in the lab. Ducts kind of look like an alien because it has an alien eye kind of thing. I always remember like an alien eye. And then you have the prostate, and then you have urethral gland. What do they do? This is also another thing you should know. What do they do? Good question. Seminal vesicles, they give energy, they give fructose, so they provide energy for the sperm. Okay, so food for sperm as they're gonna go through a long travel. They give them little food for them to actually eat on the way. Fibrinogen makes them sticky and thick, make them thick and sticky. So if you ever feel the semen coming out, you will notice that it's quite thick and sticky. So because of this liquid from seminal vesicles. Prostaglandin also stimulate with the peristaltic contraction. What does that mean? It actually is a hormone that stimulates women to contract. When women contract, there has higher chance for the cervix to actually touch the sperm and pick up the sperm. Think of it like a shortcut if you play a game. Instead of going through stage 1, 2, and 3, you actually jump from stage 1 to stage 3. So you skip the ladder, climbing up the ladder to the cervix, you actually praying that the cervix will pulsating and then dip into the sperm pool of sperm so that the sperm could take a little shortcut to get into the cervix. Okay, so this gland helps you with that. Okay, prostate does a couple of things. One is fibrinolysis. Look at these two terms. This is fibrinogen. This is fibrinolysis. So one makes it sticky and thick. This one will actually dissolve that thick and stickiness after 30 minutes. Okay, this one will dissolve that thick and stickiness after 30 minutes. So prostate released completely opposite. Release gland are completely opposite to the seminal vesicle gland. So seminal vesicle make it sticky and thick. Prostate will actually make it nice and loose after 30 minutes. Okay, spermines, this is help with the pH, kind of maintain the pH at 7. So kind of helps sperm. This kind of helps sperm stay alive a little bit longer. Just kind of helps sperm do that. Urethral gland, this is just a lubrication. So all you need to remember is this little key term, lubrication. Okay, so lubrication, that's the key term. So urethral, bulb, just think of bulb, loop, that's the word loop backward here, L-U-B. See if you have, this is L, U, and B, so loop, so it actually will help with the lubrication, urethral gland. Whereas prostate, you have breaking the fibrin, making it less sticky after 30 minutes. Spermin help with the pH, and then you have seminal vesicle with the food, the stickiness, and prostaglandin help promote the hormone. If you dissect penis, penis is secondary organ. You dissect penis. This is what you see. You have 3 muscles, 3 cilical muscles, circular muscle. You have these 2 on the top, okay, and then this one on the bottom. I always think of South Park for some reason. You can see that look like South Park, really. So you have the eye and the mouth, a little mustache, goatee right here. Yeah, there's a little goatee. Okay, so the one on the top, okay, something to remember. This is for your lab as well. They have this one. This is on the top. Corpora cavernosa. Corpora cavernosa. Look like a cave. You could see it's nice, like a little cave. Think of them. The cave is on the top. You have cave on the top. Okay, so you have 2 caves on the top. 2 cave on the top. Okay, and you have the sponge. Spongiosum. You have sponge. Sponge is like a sea sponge. You have sponge on the bottom. You have the sponge on the bottom. Okay, so 2 caves on the top, sponge on the bottom. Something to note. Corpus is singular. Corpora is plural. So the singular form of this is something you will see in your lab. So something to be aware of. If they only point it to one, let's say, if they do another sagittal cut sagittal cut would look like this. Will look like this. So if you have a head of penis and you see a sagittal cut, will look like this. So with the sagittal cut, you're gonna see the muscle, the gland here, and then you're gonna see a muscle like that. So and they point it like here. Okay, you do not write corpora cavernosa. You will get it wrong. Okay, you should write corpus. Okay, corpus, because that's singular. Cavernosum. Corpus cavernosum. So corpus cavernosum is a singular. That means one. Okay. Whereas corpora cavernosa is two or more. Okay, this is two or more. So this is something you should remember. You will see this on your lab and you will get it wrong. I will mark you wrong if you write corpora cavernosa if they only pointed to one. If they have this cross section and they point it to both sides like this, then you can say corpora cavernosa. If they only pointed to one in the sagittal cut, then you would say corpus cavernosum. Okay, so it's something to keep in mind when you take these exams. Puberty. What happened in puberty? Puberty for men is where we start to release a surge of FSH and LH. FSH and LH, GnRH. So this is what the GnRH is. So you remember from endocrine chapter. Okay, so GnRH, gonad releasing hormone, and then from the hypothalamus, and then for your your pituitary gland, then release FSH and LH. Okay, so you have these secondary characteristics like facial, pubic hair, deeper voice, broadened shoulders, so stuff that you already know. So this is when you hit around 12, 13, 14. Little trivia question. Youngest father, or how old is the youngest father? Youngest father in the record that we have is 9 years old. 9 years old. This is right around the turn of the century at 1910, about 100 years ago, where this guy married to have kids with an 8-year-old girl. Okay, this is not an actual picture, so I just picked some random picture. 1910, you don't even have a picture like this. So so some Chinese in China at that time, they just hurry to have kids. I mean, you have to put things in perspective a little bit. Okay, you might think, oh wow, that's child molestation, a 9-year-old, wow. But the average lifespan, the life expectancy back then is about 35 to 40 years old. Okay, 35 to 40 years old. So for most of you, you already spent 2/3 of your life already. For me, I'm already done. I'm supposed to be dead by now. I'm not. So so back then, the life expectancy was a lot shorter because of the disease and all kinds of things. People don't live that long. So for them to get married early is actually very common, very traditional. Nine I think is a little pushing the limit there, because they want kids to be productive. They want kids to actually go out and work. When you're 12, 13, you should start working already. Forget school. Back then in 1910, you don't have to go to school. You need to help your mom and dad do stuff. That's why they want to have lots of babies, so they could have more helping hands to do things around the house. So this is very common back then. And they look at how many kids they have. They have so they have kids early, like at 10 years old, and they end up with 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys. So another side story. This is more recent. We don't have any kids in the recent time that have kids at 9 years old, which is thankfully, thank God. But the youngest one is 11 years old. This has happened in New Zealand. Big, huge news came out about 3-4 years ago. You might want to look at. You could type this in. You should see it. More than 3 or 4. I'm sorry. Time flies when you have fun. April 12, 2012. April April 2012. So quite a few years back. But what happened with this kid is his friend, mom would love, was wanting to have sex with this kid. And mom would try to do everything, trying to get, to sleep with this kid, an 11-year-old. Remember, this is her son friend, this mom wanting to sleep with and wanting to be impregnated with. So eventually she did. She actually got pregnant. She wants to have kid with her son's friend. For once, I can't really wrap my mind around that. Just imagine I have my son and I have a friend, and then his friend. My wife want to have sex with that friend. Just wrong. So, but this girl wants to have sex with her own son's friend, and then got herself pregnant from that boy, that 11-year-old boy. She wanted to have that. Obviously, she got thrown in jail. Obviously, she actually was pregnant at the time and also give birth in jail as well. Okay, and obviously the CPS took the custody of the child, removing that from the mom. She should not have that baby. So, and then gave to the family, the grandparents, to take care of the child. I don't know if she's still in jail. I think she might have got out from jail at this point. Not sure. I know she was in jail for a few years, so she probably got out by now. Oldest father, to go opposite end of that. Oldest father. Any guess? Think of number in your head. Remember what I said before, men, we make sperm for living and we make it to the day we die. So the oldest father is pretty high. So this is actual guy. He's actually 90 years old. He was 90 years old when he had a kid. And he's planning to have more too as well. So I haven't kept up whether he actually had any more. So his name is Nanu Ram Georgi. Okay, he actually look at how many he had here. 12 sons and 9 daughters. 12 sons and 9 daughters, and he's not stopping. He wants more. Personally, man, I'm not looking forward to changing diapers at the age of 90 years old. No. Oh no. Youngest mother, to go opposite end, to be fair. So we talk about oldest for men already, youngest father and oldest father. So now youngest mother. So youngest mother, you have, some of you might heard this story. This is 5-year-old. Okay, you have a 5-year-old that the youngest mother. She's actually a Peruvian from Peru. This is back in 1933. She's still alive today, I believe. Last I checked, she was alive today. She gave birth when she was 5 years old and 7 months. Okay, and 17 days, and still on the record, the youngest mother at this point. So she gave birth to this boy. They don't know who's the father was at the time. So she asked. They kept asking her, and she refused to say who was the dad. So they threw her dad in jail. They threw her father in jail because at that time they didn't have any DNA tests and all of those jazz. So back in 1933, so they assumed that was the dad that actually impregnated her. So they threw the dad in jail for a few years, and then also raised this child as her brother, as her younger brother. Raised the child as a younger brother. It turns out her son actually died when he was 40 years old. Okay, of some complication, heart complication or whatnot. So she's starting to menstruate when she was 3. And until this day, she has never said who is the father of this child. She never actually said who is the father of this child. She will take that and carry with her to the grave. She refused to say who the father of the child is. She did also end up marry, have, I believe, one other kid or two kids, I believe, if I remember correctly. Might just have one or two kids, just normal kid, normal child from another person with her husband. But she's still alive today. The oldest mother, would be a different story from the oldest father, because men could produce sperm until you die. Women, though, cannot produce sperm until you die. Women actually have a time limit to that. But nevertheless, the oldest mother is at 70 years old. 70. Yeah, 70 years old. These two actually have kids when they're at 70 years old. This is the actual picture. And one of them actually had twins. Look at that. Oh my god. Again, if I'm 70, I'm not expecting or looking forward to changing that diapers when you're 70. So I want to be in peace. Okay, don't want to wake up every 2 hours at night to feed. No way. So some of these folks, the most babies. This is on the official record of women actually have the most babies. No, not at one time. Not at one time. So in the whole entire lifetime. Okay, so this one had not. This is not an actual picture. This I just pulled some picture up from somewhere. Not an actual picture. So this one has 69 babies. 69 babies. Look at that. Wow, 69 babies. This girl. I mean, she had like twins, triplet, quadruplet, even quadruplet. Yep. So I mean, tons of babies. 67 of them born successfully. 2 of them actually die. But still, that's amazing. 67 babies. Sometimes I would just wonder how on earth she still have babies. I mean, if that vaginal canal gonna be shred to pieces, gonna be nice and loose. I mean, and the guy still could finish. Just kind of amazing that the guy still could be able to finish, because it's like a huge tunnel become a nice little cave instead. And nice and loose. All those muscles just gone. So still, that's just my hats off to this girl. Russian girl. I guess it was cold back then, I'm sure, but was cold and had nothing else to do. No internet, no cell phone, no Netflix. So so get a hobby, do something else, pick other hobbies. Okay, so since we talked about women, so let's get into women anatomy parts. So what is the function? Again, we talk about function. What is the function of the reproductive system? For women is to produce and deliver the egg. Ova is the egg. Sex hormone, again, ovaries actually have sex hormone. Okay, and also provide nutrients for where, when the fetus actually start to develop inside the uterus, you need that nutrients for them so the uterus, the fetus could grow. And also give birth and help nourish the infants as well. So all of these are the function of the reproductive system that you should know. Okay, highly recommend knowing them. Yes, you should. Again, we'll start with the ovary. Okay, this is where you produce the egg. Okay, for women. You have the egg development here into fluid-filled follicles. You have these follicles. Different stage of follicle. We'll talk about that later on. How these develops, the follicles. You have the ovarian ligament and the round ligament. The ovarian ligament is where it's attached to the ovary, just like the sound. You have the ovaries here. You have the ovarian ligament that attach and hold on to the ovaries. Okay, so ovarian ligament, think of the ovary, it's attached to that ovary. Okay, you have the suspensory ligament. suspensory ligament, or also called broad ligament. Suspensory ligament or broad ligament. This is a sheet. I'm sorry. This is the no. That's a broad ligament. Suspensory ligament is this ligament here, going on the top. Okay, going on the top here. Okay, that holding up the ovary to the wall of the pelvic wall. Okay, you have the internal genitalia and external genitalia. The external would be like your labia majora, minora, vagina, clitoris, the vaginal openings, all of those are the external. The internal is what's inside. You have the vaginal canal, the cervix, the uterus, all those lovely stuff. The muscle that around something a key term should remember. This is the fimbria. Fimbria is the finger-like projection. Finger-like projection. Interestingly about fimbria is that it's know where to pick up. So you think of this in 3D terms. Okay, the egg actually will pop out. You will pop out the egg every month for women. Okay, and the egg could be at different places, different location throughout the time. Every single time you pop out, and you alternating the left and the right. This month will be this side. This month will be the other side, and it could be anywhere on the ovaries. 360, so anywhere in the ovaries. So, but for some reason the fimbria actually know exact location of where the egg will come out, and they would come, and mechanical arm will come, just kind of sweep out at that specific spot where the eggs come out. Let's say this month the eggs come out this way right here. The egg come out right at this location. Then the fimbria will come and then put and just sweep out this spot at this location. Next month or the following 2 months after, the ovary come out this side, or even let's say on the opposite side. Then the fimbria would know and then just be able to pick that up. At this point, we don't know how that works. We, as scientists, we don't really know how the fimbria actually know where the ovaries will release the egg, and then how it actually will be in the right spot at the right time to picking up those eggs. We still don't know the actual mechanism how that works. 3 layers of the uterus. You have the perimetrium. This is something you should know for your lab. Definitely know these for your lab. Perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium. Peri on the outside, myo is the muscle, and endometrium is on the inside. This is where you shed every month. You actually build up the wall, the stratum, and then you shed every month. And this make the basis for the babies to grow. If it's fertilized, the egg is fertilized, the fetus will actually grow in that endometrium. And also another quick interesting fact is that uterus actually becomes the second largest organ of your body. The first largest of your body is your skin. During pregnancy, the uterus actually go to 10 times its size. Actually go from the little tiny, just about the size of your hand, all the way to the top of your, pushing your stomach. Okay, all the way to above your belly, push up the stomach. So your uterus can get pretty big during the time of the pregnancy. Okay, so vagina, which is here, okay, or birth canal, some people call it. Okay, these are the muscle tubes. You have acid pH, which is pH of 4, and you have these ridges. You can see on these little lines. These if you ever feel this inside the vagina, it's actually feel like a ruffle. It's like tons of little edge and ridges in there to prevent things from going in. So you have the mons pubis. This is the bone part. You will feel the bone. This is part of your right underneath your bone, your pubic symphysis. Right under your pubic symphysis is the mons pubis. And you have labia majora, which is the outside lips, the major lips on the outside. You could think of the big lips on the the flower, some people call it. So labia majora on the outside, and you have the labia minora on the inside part. That. Okay. Women do have prepuce over the clitoris. Women also have prepuce, little foreskin right on top, right here, this is the prepuce right on top of the clitoris, which is right here. Okay, so just like men, like I said before, some culture, consider cutting the prepuce, consider cutting this. In some African culture, even mutilate the clitoris just at birth, so that to prevent the child being getting raped. In some African tribe, they purposely mutilate their own daughters' clitoris, so that it would look ugly, so the men won't actually feel like they want to rape those kids. And they're trying to change that at this point. World Health Organization trying to ban the genital mutilations. Vulva. So let's talk about clitoris. This is one of the useless organs. Sorry, nothing. I was just kidding. So clitoris is technically there's no other function. It's just the sensation organ. It's all it does is actually for the sexual stimulation, actually just pleasure for women. So there's no other function for clitoris aside from pleasure. Okay, so clitoris, just think of pleasure, not pressure, pleasure. Okay, so clitoris, just pleasure organ, having fun organ. So that's what that organ is all about. Vestibular bulb. This is where the vestibular bulb, erectile issue around the vagina. So this is there's a erectile issue right here, right around it. This becomes gorged with blood, and when it's stimulated during sexual intercourse. Greater and lesser vestibular gland, which is actually providing lubrication. You have the 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Okay, 2 on top and 2 on the bottom, and actually 2 more inside, and actually help with lubrication for women. One of the most common problem women often complain is too dry, is that they don't have enough lubrication. It's because of these glands are not working, or sometimes it could be psychological as well. Some women actually associate sex with certain things, so it could reduce their level of lubrications. The breast. What's around the breast is called areola. Areola, which is the area around the breast. This could vary from women to women. Could vary in terms of color and sizes. Some of them are small, some of them are bigger. And now today, you could change your color. It's all, like you go in and tattoo it. Pretty much, you could add whatever color you want, whatever color you desire to be. So, cosmetic, yeah. So we could do that at this point. So breast, technically speaking, is a modified sweat gland. A modified sweat gland. Men and women have the same breasts. Technically, women just have more fat in their breasts than men. That's all it is. So technically speaking, like mentioned before, with the right condition, men could be lactating as well. Puberty in women, again, going through like men, you have GnRH, release that follicle FSH and LH, and that usually the menarche, remember that term, menarche, first period, at the age of 12. As we speak, it's getting younger and younger. It used to be 14, 13, now it's 12, so it's getting younger every year as we speak. For women, you develop a characteristic like breasts, broader hips, things like that. Okay, what is sexual reproduction? reproduction is characterized. You have two type of reproduction. You have the asexual and sexual reproduction. Asexual meaning that you could produce by yourself, meaning that you could divide yourself with mitosis, and you don't need anyone or anything to help you reproduce. You just be able to reproduce by yourself. Majority of our cells do that. In terms of cells wise, we do go through mitosis. Okay, we go through mitosis and we be able to do reproduce without with the cells itself without using any sex organs. That's what that's how your cell grow from 1 at birth to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32. So that's asexual reproduction. Some bacteria, some protozoa actually go through this asexual reproduction. For human and mammals around the planet, animals as well, and even plants, we go through sexual reproduction, meaning that you need 2 parents, and the reason we do that is called genetic diversity. This is the key thing to remember. It's genetic diversity. Why? If imagine this with it's survival purposes. Okay, if I suck at running, if I'm really bad at running, and I would get eaten by a dinosaur or a tiger, I don't want to pass that on to my kids. If I'm suck at running, my kids will be suck at running, and then we all gonna die because the dinosaur and tigers will actually eat us, and we're gonna die. So therefore, this genetic diversity will help make sure that we only pass on the good genes, so our kids will have a better chance of survive that. Okay. To simply put, let me see. We'll talk about these shortly. Okay. To simply put, when we talk about genetic diversity, we're gonna go in a little bit more of how that happened. Okay, male and female. This is sexual reproduction. You have the gametes. This when Harry meets Sally. So Harry comes in, say hello, I'm the sperm, and then goes into to the egg, and then they make a zygote. Okay, and human, we have 23 pairs of chromosome, 23 pairs. 22 of them are autosomal, which mean other things, and we have 1 pair is a sex chromosome. The X chromosome looks like this. Okay, the X looks like this. Okay, so women would have 2 X's like this. For men, would look like this. So this is the X, and this is the Y. Okay, so this is the female, this is the male. So you have 2 X's, XX, XY. So technically speaking, men, we are not complete. We actually are, our second chromosome is only half of what actually women have. We only have half. They actually have a complete chromosome. So technically speaking, women are actually perfect. But women already know that if you know what I'm talking about. And you women, you girls already know this, that you girls are perfect. So the next time when you argue with your boyfriend, your husband, just saying that you're not perfect, you're almost perfect, you're almost there, but not quite. I am perfect. So, okay, so men, we only half of that Y chromosome. We don't have the whole thing. Okay. So again, the sperm is the one that dictates the sex. If the sperm has an X chromosome, you will have a female. If the sperm has a Y chromosome, you will have a boy. So it's not the women. So you could do whatever to women in different position, upside down, on the side, eat certain food, rub the belly certain way. Doesn't matter. It's actually depending on a guy, whichever sperm actually win the race. If the X sperm win the race, then it will become a female. If a Y sperm win the race, then it will become a male. And here's another one that you should know. I would say. Okay, a couple of terms that you should know. First one is this. This is called the SRY gene. SRY gene is sex determining region of Y gene. Sex determined region of Y gene, which is this blue area right here. This blue area. Okay, SRY referring to this blue area right there. Blue little band. So what this does? This is detecting the testosterone. This will increase the testosterone. Technically speaking, this is not drawn to actual thing because the Y chromosome, you only have half of this. You don't have the whole Y chromosome. You only have the top half. You don't have the bottom half. So whoever draw this is incorrect. So you secrete the testosterone from this very region, and you have in your body have a testosterone receptor. So your body actually looking out for this. Okay, and if you could secrete the Mullerian inhibiting factor. So female, in order for you to become female, you don't have that testosterone. You just have absence of the testosterone. If you don't have testosterone, you will automatically become female. So technically, the default just think of Jurassic Park, and this is true in Jurassic Park. So the default for all mankind, okay. So the default is female. We are all default to be a female. Okay, we all default to be female. Unless you have that testosterone, unless you have this little gene releasing out the testosterone, then you become a female. So keep that in mind. How does this work? Okay, how does this work? So we're gonna end with this concept, and then we'll call it good for this video. Okay, so you have these two systems here. You have the mesonephric ducts, which is the green duct. Okay, the green duct, and then the paramesonephric or Mullerian duct, which is the purple duct here. Okay, Mullerian duct. So meso, it's easy way to remember. Meso for men, male. So meso, male. So just remember that mesonephric, male or men. So this system will lead to become men. Parameso, para. When we talk about para, we think of when you're pregnant. How many times you're pregnant is called para. So that's female. You're actually pregnant. You become female. So para, female. Meso, man, m for men. So think of that. Okay. So if you have mesonephric, your paramesonephric would actually degenerate it. So the first 5 to 6 weeks, we all look exactly alike. All of us look alike at 5 or 6 weeks. But after 6 weeks, the testosterone will secrete the testosterone. The SRY gene will secrete the testosterone. Then the paramesonephric will actually dissolve that, will be gone. If you are after 5 or 6 weeks, but there's no testosterone, then the mesonephric will start to degenerate. Okay. So absent of testosterone, which means you're gonna become a female. Okay. So absent of testosterone, without that testosterone, okay, then you're gonna start degenerating the mesonephric duct. With the testosterone, then the mesogenic ducts will develop that, but you will degenerate the paramesonephric. Okay, so your penis and clitoris is actually the same thing. Okay, your penis and clitoris is exactly the same thing. Your foreskin, you have the same thing. The labia minora, which is the penile skin for men, labia minora for women. The scrotum is actually labia majora. That's why if you think of it, for women, on the labia majora tend to be a darker color. Same thing for men. The scrotum for men is darker color. So it's the same skin tissue. For women, the ovary stays up. For men, these gonad will come down and then become testes. Okay, so these gonads will come down, become testes. For women, the ovary will actually doesn't come down, will stay up and become ovaries. For men, these will kind of descend, become testes. So 8 weeks old, we all look alike, completely alike. After 8 weeks, about 12 weeks or so, all things do form, and you could actually see this quite well, unless the baby actually kind of squeezing the legs. You won't be able to see that in ultrasound. But we could determine between 12 to 16 week, 12 to 16 week, we could actually determine whether boy or girl usually. And you could redo again in ultrasound in your second or third trimester, beginning of your third trimester, third trimester. So beginning of that, you could do it again and do a 4D ultrasound, kind of see on the cool structure of the babies. Okay. The descent, you do need a couple of things for descent of the testes. You need gubernaculum. Gubernaculum is the cord-like thing that actually will start pulling down, kind of guidance system. Think of it like a guidance system for to guide the testes down into the scrotum. Okay, so let's stop right here. We'll start with the second part of this video on part 2 next time. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you click the comment button and like button as well. I'll see you next video.